Hi, and welcome to another episode of Doing Date Night. For those of you who know me, you know that I tend to cook from the heart, which means recipes can be sometimes a thing that doesn't get used. So today's recipe, if you can call it that, is very much along those lines. So of course, since we're doing a prawn bisque, we're going to start with the prawns. Now you can see here, all I'm doing is applying a little bit of pressure, and these zipper back prawns will open right up. Now, I'm not going to make you watch me do all of these, so moving on. Anyway, this is the important part. You have to keep the shells. We are going to use these to make a really awesome soup base. If you throw that out, you are missing out on a ton of flavor. I know it seems a little weird if you've never done it, but we are definitely going to use those. So at this point, all we're going to do is cut up all of the veggies and different aromatics and things that we're using within that soup base. So everything you see here is part of that. So essentially all we're doing here is we're cutting up all the different veggies and aromatics and things that we're going to use in our soup base. We're making like a prawn or sort of like a fish stock base. If you've never done that, it's not that hard to do, just takes a little bit of time, but the end result is definitely worth it. Moving on to cut up some onion, because what soup base doesn't have a little bit of onion in it? It also gives the sad boy chef an excuse for why he might be crying his eyes out. It's just raining, I swear. I was also very excited to see that we had actual real lemongrass in the grocery store. This is something we don't often get. Just take out all of your frustrations and anger on the end of that stalk and it'll break it up a little bit. Again, we don't need to fine chop this. It's just going to be strained out at the end anyway. Same thing with the garlic. We're just giving it a really quick little slap and then moving on. Next, we're going to just take the rind off of some of this ginger and cutting up not super fine again and throwing it in the bowl. And that's pretty much it for the veggie and aromatic portions. I'm going to take a donut break and then we're going to start the actual stock. Excuse me while I use my firebending skills. So throw some oil in the pot, or if you're like me, just toss it around the entire kitchen first. And then once it's hot, we're going to throw in some onions and just let those sweat. And then we're going to throw in our prawn tails. And we're going to get those nice and cooked up so they've got some color on them before starting to add in our veggies. Once everything's looking good, we're going to toss in those veggies and aromatics and a little bit of butter. And what I'm pointing out here is the fond on the bottom. We actually want that. That's okay to have. I get thoroughly distracted looking at the veins and tendons in my arm here. Okay, moving on, back to the video. I throw in a little bit of rice vinegar and some mirin. That's actually going to help take that little bit of burning, that little bit of fond off the bottom of the pot, and it actually does help to add flavor. At this point, we're going to throw some water in, and you can see everything is really starting to come together. Once the water is in, we're going to throw some cloves and some bay leaves in there as well, and help add a little bit more flavor to the overall stock. Really, that's kind of all there is to the first part of this. We're going to bring that up to a boil, and then I'm going to actually put the lid on, turn the heat down to a low simmer, and we're going to leave it for 1 hour. I found you can do this without the hour, but it does help if you give it the time for those flavors really to meld in. Now at this point, the stock can basically be done. We're going to strain it through the strainer and really get all the liquid that we can by pressing some of it through. But that's basically our fish stock right there. You can stop there. You don't have to go any further, but I did go one extra step just because I'm extra like that sometimes. So I threw our stock back on the stove, and while it's heating up, I'm just cutting up some shallots and garlic for the next step, which is going to be the actual full cooking of the soup. So I guess bisque would be the more correct term that way. Hey, and while I'm crying from cutting more onions anyway, I swear it's just the onions, did you know that 81.3% of our viewers are not subscribed? Come on, you might as well just hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and get notified every time we make a new video. We have a lot of fun making these videos, and we'd like to continue making them, and every little bit of support helps. Alright, so here's the extra part here. This is totally optional. I added some bonito flakes as well as some kombu to make it more of almost like a dashi type stock. Now, If you're going to do this, make sure you do not have the water boiling, because apparently the kombu can make things kind of slimy if you do that. We're going to let that sit for 15 minutes with the lid on and just no heat in it. It's fine, it'll add the flavor as it is. Once we've got all of that going, we're going to put some garlic and onion back in the pot with some oil and sweat that off a little bit, because apparently you can never get enough garlic and oil, or garlic and onion oil. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Anyway, put the things in the pot, all of it, and then because we have not been salting anything so far, this is our chance to actually salt the stock to see how it's going to end up. That was a little bit of star anise powder. Adds just a little bit. You do not want to overuse star anise powder. You can overdo that so quickly. Then we added some heavy cream, and that's pretty much it. We're going to put that aside. A big thing with this is just tasting it, salting, tasting, salting, to the point where you feel like it's salty enough. That's really all there is to it. When they say salt to taste, that's literally what you're doing. I don't know of any other way or any better way to do that other than to just taste it, put more salt, taste it. And with that rant aside, we're going to start plating up. So we're going to pile up our prawny boys over on the one side, ladle in our soup on the other side, add a little bit of garnish. I just used a little bit of tarragon in there, and that's it. It's not that difficult of a thing to do. It just takes a bit of time to get all those flavors right, but the end result is definitely worth it. While this recipe is a little bit more of an involved one, I'm thinking the next series we do will be a much faster, quick meal sort of idea for those on the go. Drop me a comment, tell me if that's something that you'd be interested in. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified of every new video, and we'll see you next time on Doing Date Night. Have a wonderful day, guys.